Welcome, cousins, to another episode of Honest Talk About Women, where you will find tips, tricks, and strategies to help you navigate the minefields of dating and relationships. If you could please press the like button, subscribe, and comment in the comment section, this will help the YouTube algorithm, and I'll be able to continue to bring you quality content. If you have any specific relationship stories you'd like to share with the viewers, then please contact me on the email below. Today's story is going to be about Casanova. For those of you that do not know about Casanova, he was basically a legend with women 300 years ago. So born 1725, died 1798, so 73 years old. And he had a very, very good run with women. You may ask, what's the relevance of Casanova today? But most of his learnings are still very relevant today in regards to relationships. He was, in my opinion, not only one of the best that could read and win a woman's heart, but he spoke fluent Womanese as his first language. So a bit about Casanova. He was sent off to boarding school at age 11. This is where you learn very quickly. When you've been sent away from home, you start to grow up very quickly. He went to live in a boarding school, but was appalled by the conditions and pleaded with his instructor to move in with her family. It was a religious family, but that didn't stop him having his first sexual experience with the instructor's younger sister at aged 11. So he started very early. He eventually was educated as a lawyer. But he didn't have a passion for law. As you find with some lawyers today, they get educated as a lawyer, spend their big wallop of money on student fees, student loans, and come out and find they're not passionate about law. His first job was to work in the church, but he had too many sexual scandals. He managed to have affairs with too many nuns. And these are females who have dedicated their life to 𝗪𝗹𝗪𝗔𝗔, not to get married or have any sexual relationships. And Casanova was a person who, within hours of meeting a nun, could seduce her. So he was very, very charming. He worked in many different professions, going from one nobility group to another. It was quite remarkable, the nobility culture of the 18th century in Europe. Casanova was always surprised at how the lower classes paid their taxes to support the upper classes. And you could say in some ways it's very similar today with the tax bracket system we have and the tax structure we have and the possible loopholes that can get exploited by certain people. You can watch an excellent movie about Casanova and the nobility classes linked in the link down below. It's a long ask watching a 2-hour plus movie, but it's an excellent video by the BBC, and it shows the nobility classes, which weren't, in my opinion, of much use whatsoever. So one of Casanova's firsts was introducing a lottery system into Europe, and he successfully introduced a lottery system in Venice and made a lot of money. So one thing he was good at was gambling, and he knew how to gamble, and he came up with the lottery system. He made a lot of money, but with a lot of people that make a lot of money very quickly, they also can lose it very quickly. And he was no different from those people of today who you come across who have made a lot of money quickly, and they also lose their money very quickly. Unless you've done your hard yards, sweat and toil and tears, you know how to hold on to it. But Casanova made a lot of money very quickly, and he lost a lot of money. But anyway, it didn't stop him womanizing and creating one scandal after another. And whenever there's a scandal, he just quietly left town and went to another town. So this led him going throughout Europe, even though he spent most of his time in Venice, Paris, and London. He did crisscross all across Europe, from Moscow and St. Petersburg in the far east to London in the west. He spent the majority of his time mixing and mingling with the nobility class, trying to sell his lottery business, which he wasn't very successful at, to the established classes in the other cities. So in his books, he wrote quite a few memoirs when he retired, and in his books he talks about his process for seducing a woman, which is very relevant for today. One, he discovers a very attractive woman in trouble with a brutish or jealous lover. How often do you come across that? A beautiful, stunning woman who's in a dysfunctional relationship. Two, he would comfort her difficulty, so show her sympathy and empathy. And how often do you see people do that? Then the third act, he would show her gratitude. He would seduce her. A short, exciting affair would ensure. So you'd show her respect, show her gratitude, and then the last act, he would get bored and tell her that she is worthy of another guy who's better and could look at her, comfort her long term, and then he would exit the scene. So how common is this process back then 300 years ago with it today? Very, very common. So Casanova proclaims there is no honest woman with an uncorrupted heart whom a man is not sure of conquering by dint of gratitude. So very, very true statement, that one. And also Casanova claimed to value the intelligence of a woman. This is his words. After all, a beautiful woman without a mind of her own leaves her lover with no resource after he had physically enjoyed her charms. How true is that? So basically, had sex, and because she can't mentally stimulate him, there's no beauty, no fulfillment long term. And how often do you get into a relationship where it's purely sexual only, and there's no mental stimulus? So I know some people like to get into a relationship that's physical only, but long term, you've got to have both the physicalness and the mentalness. And if you're not stimulated mentally, you may have to seek your mental stimulation elsewhere. So the most striking thing that Casanova encountered 300 years ago, and that is still very relevant today, is hypergamy. So for those that are unfamiliar with hypergamy, it's basically, in the simple sense, is that women date across and upwards. Most of them date upwards. So they seek someone who's financially better off than they are. So in all of Casanova's travels across Europe, he crisscrossed from town to town, met gorgeous women. He had sexual experiences with hundreds of women. Of the one woman he came across that everything was in perfect sync in terms of beauty, intelligence, and culture. There's one woman, and he called her Henriette in Paris. So Henriette provided the beauty, the intelligence, and the culture. And it was like a glove, a perfect fit for him. I don't know whether you've ever put on a pair of soccer boots or put on a baseball glove, and it's just a perfect fit. Everything is just perfect. Feels good, the grip is nice, it just fits perfectly. This woman was a perfect fit for him. So he's played the field, he's been in bed with hundreds of women, and he's come across one woman where that just ticks all the boxes. She was just perfect, but the thing is, he could not have her, and the reason being is hypergamy. She wanted to have a relationship or marriage with someone who could financially support her long term, so that if she was to have sons or daughters, have a family, she wanted someone who could support her financially. And Casanova was hopeless with money. He had the lottery business, and he made one very highly successful stint of that in Venice and made a lot of money, but he lost a lot of money, and he continuously ran up his debts and couldn't find a secured source of income. He tried flogging his or selling his lottery system to the other nobility across Europe, but there were not very many takers. So he had very little financial resources, and the one woman that he loved, fell in love with, and ticked all the boxes mentally, physically, charm, beauty, the whole package deal. He couldn't secure her because she was a hypergamist. She wanted to have a relationship with someone that could support her financially. So that is so telling. So a lot of people say, oh, hypergamy, that's bullshit. Women don't data cross or up. They're not seeking money. That's not true, and it's been around for a long time. And back in the 18th century, 300 years ago, it was as relevant back then as it is today. So if there's one thing you can take out of this, is that females are highly hypergamists. So if you ever get into a relationship, have your eyes wide open and ask yourself, what is the real reason this woman is choosing me over others? And it should be for love, genuine, good old-fashioned love. But as we all know, that's not reality these days. So I hope you enjoyed the brief history lesson on Casanova from 300 years ago, and the relevance from him 300 years ago as it is today in terms of relationships and dating. And we'll now get back into other stories. And so keep, if you can press the like button, if you could subscribe, and if you could also please comment in the comments section, will help the YouTube algorithm, and I'll be able to continue to bring you more quality content. Until next time, take care.